Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another rankings video. Today I'm going to be ranking the last 12 eyeshadow palettes that I've tried. Whew, Jesus. I want to say this was hard, but was it really? Who knows? I can't remember because I wrote this down probably about a week and a half ago. So maybe we'll see where things fall if things get like shifted around. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. I'm Jamila. I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup and skincare, and I especially love sharing my tips and tricks for how to find high-end and luxury beauty products at bargain prices. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I would absolutely love if you'd consider subscribing and joining the fam. Okay, so the sun is setting. So this is why the lighting looks like it is. I probably have 15 minutes before it gets like ridiculous. So as you see the lights change, just know I'm doing my best to film when I can. I'm filming after work because I didn't get a chance to film on the weekend and I didn't want to leave you guys without content because I miss y'all. I really did. But y'all don't care about none of that. So let me go ahead and get into these rankings, because we had a lot of eyeshadows, guys. Okay, so all of the eyeshadows are in this basket. I wrote it down so I wouldn't, get confused when it came time for ranking. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Like I said, I have 12 eyeshadows to rank for you guys. So coming in at number 12, it's the Eternal Love palette from Dose of Colors. I was so disappointed in this. So disappointed in this. And I think that there are a couple of reasons why this palette is just not for me. Is it a quality issue? Maybe. And that might be real subjective, because if you have this palette and you use it and you think it performs fine, that's fine. I'm glad that it works for you. For me, this ain't it. And I have a ton of Dose of Colors palettes from way back in the way back, and they've definitely changed the formula. And not for the better, in my opinion. And I feel like I've talked to a couple of the people that have tried Dose of Colors in the past, and they actually agree that the formula has changed and not necessarily for the better. I don't know what it is about these new shimmers, but they're not it. This shimmer here, Aphrodite, and even Starlight to some extent, are practically unusable. They literally just crumble. They don't stick on the eyes. It's just a mess. They don't perform in any way, form, or fashion. Now, I did end up watching a couple of little reels from the creator because this is a collab with Trevor. I don't know what their last name is, but this is a collab with a creator named Trevor. And one of the things that they stress is that this palette is meant to be multi-use. So the shimmers actually have a transparent base so that they can be used by itself for a more day-friendly look with not a ton of impact, just like some glimmer on the lids, and then over a base, like a black base, to give it more punch. So this is where the user error might come in, right? Because I don't know how to do none of that. I don't typically like doing things in that way. So for me, it just wasn't working out the way I like my shadows to work out. And I just felt like it was a lot of work. It was too much work. I'm by no means an expert. I am a huge just makeup enthusiast who's figuring this out as I go along. And I felt like this was a lot of work. And for me, the experience means so much when it comes to using shadows. And I did not enjoy it. It's nothing against the creator. I just felt like it was hard to work with and just not for me. Okay, coming in at number 11 is another palette that I didn't really enjoy the experience of. This is the Allure 3 palette from Juvia's Place. I don't even remember how I ended up with this palette. I wish I could, you guys. It's been in my basket of shame for a very, very long time, and I'm trying to clear out my basket of shame before the end of the year. So I pulled this one out to use it because I really love a good warm shadow. And sorry, my ring light's on again because the sun is setting, so I'm trying to get as much light as possible. And this was okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with these shadows. They perform fine. They blend well. They build well. They're just okay. And that's how I feel about all of my Juvia's Place palettes. I don't hate them. I don't think that they're bad quality. They're really user-friendly. They have a ton of impact, so they're perfect if you have deeper complexions. But I just feel like they're okay. The formula doesn't stand out to me as anything special, and considering the size of my collection, just okay doesn't cut it. So I feel like after trying this palette, I was like, maybe it's time for me to cut my Juvia's Place palettes loose. Now, if you like Juvia's Place, this is not to say that you shouldn't. And honestly, quite frankly, for a drugstore, this is probably one of the best on the market. is this even considered drugstore price-wise? I do feel like it could be considered drugstore, and it goes on sale so often that you can get it at drugstore prices. So definitely if you are looking for something more in that price range, I say go with Juvia's Place. But I just feel like given the size of my collection, it just doesn't stand out, and it's okay. It can go be loved elsewhere. And I'm saying this letting you guys know that these two palettes I'm going to declutter. I just been saving them for this video, but both of these are going to be gone. Because there's absolutely no way I'm putting that Eternal Love palette back on my eyes. Absolutely no way. And I think I said in my video reviewing that palette that I think I'm done with Dose of Colors for now. Because the palette that they released before this, the She's a 10 palette, also felt very different from the Dose of Colors formula that I knew. And quite frankly, burned my lids. So I don't know what this new formula is. I don't know what direction the brand is going in. But it's just not one that is going to have me with it. Which is fine, you know? You don't have to love everything. So it is what it is. Moving along, coming in at number 10 is the Itty Bitty Baby Deathless Spirit palette from Shell We Cosmetics. Now, this is coming in at number 10 for a couple of reasons. First, the color story. This just isn't my color story. I think the lime green kind of threw me off. And the lime green was actually a little bit hard to use. Which could be because I didn't get the best palette. This palette actually came damaged. The brand just sent me a new palette. So I'll probably try the new one to see if it works better. But you can probably see how I had to like dig into the green to get it to like, to be able to use it in any formal fashion. Like, it was a lot of work. And the green, this palette again came damaged. It was dinged a little bit. And some of the shadows from the other two deeper colors ended up in the green, which kind of contaminated the green. And these palettes, the pan sizes are so small that the green just got contaminated. So this was a whole process. So that comes in at number 10 just because it was not the best. I don't call it the best, but it was just a little bit harder to work with and not my color story. Coming in at number 9, and this is going to surprise you all, it's going to be the Blend Bunny Forget Me Not palette. This is coming in at number 9 for a couple of reasons. One, this is also a face and eye palette, so it's meant to be used on the face and the eyes. And I just feel like I struggled a little bit with this. A lot of these shades pull cool, which means that for me, I can't use them as a bronzer. I can use them as a contour, but I don't contour. So some of these shades are just not warm enough for my complexion, and probably for people deeper than me as well. I don't know. Just for me, I know that these weren't warm enough. These are absolutely beautiful as eyeshadow, but I don't need this size eyeshadow. So if I can't use this as a face palette, I just have ginormous eyeshadows, which I don't need. The shimmers are absolutely beautiful though. These shimmers, bomb.com. So no complaints on the shimmers. And honestly, no complaints on the formula of these mattes. I think it's the same Blend Bunny formula. They build and they blend perfectly. Also, it's coming in a little bit lower from a user standpoint. I've said this before, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but I do want you guys to know I'm an amateur. I am like literally making this up as I go along. So because I don't know how to use these products, blending shadows together to get the right sort of depth and undertone for me is hard. So the Forget Me Not palette requires, in my opinion, a level of skill that I don't have, that a makeup artist would have to blend colors together to get something that's more neutral or more red or more golden. And I'm just not there yet. So from just a user perspective, it's ranking a little bit lower because I just don't have the expertise. Coming at number 8 is the Ace Beauty Flora palette. Now, I actually went back and picked up this palette after I had picked up the first two from the brand, which was the Color, and I'm blanking on the next one. But they were so beautiful, formula-wise, performance-wise, and I watched a couple of creators who said this was their favorite of the bunch. So I thought, why not go back and check it out? Now, this is an extremely warm palette, like you see, yellow-orange. And it's actually quite pretty, and I really enjoyed using this. I thought the performance was great. I really, really liked the shade. You're going to get a warm look, period. But I like warm looks on my complexion, so I really did have fun with this. And I was surprised at how pigmented the two yellow shades showed up on me, because sometimes they don't show up on my complexion very well, but they did. So I was actually quite impressed with the pigmentation and the performance and the punch of those shadows on my skin tone. So very happy about that one. And that was number 8. Coming in at number 7. This is going to surprise you guys, but it's the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. We didn't need this nude. No, we didn't. We lost our minds over this palette, and quite frankly, I don't know why. Is it a nice palette? Does it perform well? Yes. Is this a palette for the masses? Absolutely. This is a palette anybody can get behind because it's very everyday friendly. It's very appropriate for like professional, corporate settings, for the person that might just be getting into makeup, doesn't want to do anything dramatic. This is going to appeal to most people, period. And in my opinion, it's not too cool toned where it can be a little bit stark for people like me. I have a very yellow golden undertone. Right now I look orange because the sun is setting, but I really do have a very yellow undertone. So sometimes cool tone shades scare me a little bit, but this is very wearable and not too cool where it feels like it's going to look really stark or kind of gray on my complexion, because that's the thing with cool tones, is that it can look a little sickly if it's too much. Now, I will say that it's ranking a little bit lower because these shades aren't revolutionary in any means. And them 2 wet shades that she tried to put in here and claim as this new special formula, if you've used any indie shadow, you know that doesn't compare by any means. So I feel like this is ranking lower for me because I have shadows that I just think perform better because of the, you know, space that I've been in. So nothing against the palette. I just feel like I have better performing shadows, and it doesn't strike me as a revolutionary color story or formula. Coming in at number 6 is my next Shall We palette. This is the Octopus palette. It's the Escape one. This is just so pretty, you guys. The blue, the red, all of these shades are perfection. I took like 1 point away from this because it doesn't really have a blend out shade. Like there's one matte shade here and no like transition shade or anything like that. But quite frankly, this color story is amazing. I love this. I loved the look that I created with this. This blue is not necessarily the strongest multi-chrome, but it is a multi-chrome and it's still pretty. And I just feel like all of these shades look really good on my complexion, and they complemented me so well. Had a ball playing with this one. So I definitely recommend looking into the Shall We eyeshadow formula because I actually think that they're really nice. And I love that they offer those mini palettes which retail for $15, $17, which isn't bad and is enough product if you have a large makeup collection, because nobody needs the full size when you have a collection that, if you're watching this, I know you have. And then right behind it at number 5 is going to be the Circus palette, which is the third and final palette from this Shall We collection. And this one is just, you guys, come on. I mean, okay, it's neutral, yes, whatever, but okay, is this really neutral? It's the most neutral leaning of the 3, but I just think that this is so pretty. I love anything that's a little bit on the fiery side. Yes, there's a red in here and there's a red in the other one, but this gold to red, perfection. And this one edged out the other one because it actually is a complete palette in my opinion, in that you have 2 mattes. So you have the transition shade as well as the deepening up shade. This shade works really well on my complexion to deepen things up, so I'm glad they gave us enough depth. And this is a beautiful transition shade, even for me. So it's not too light. I actually used this time just this transition shade in every single Shall We look that I did. So every single Shall We palette that I used, I reached into this one for that gray transition shade. Okay, so it's getting darker by the second. Let me go get an extra ring light so that it's not too dark for you guys. Okay, so there we go. We got a little bit more light going. I absolutely hate filming in artificial light, and I typically never do, so I apologize, you guys. The sun is setting faster than I'm talking. But let's keep going. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So coming in at number 4, we have another Natasha Denona palette. I actually did not film a review or first impressions of this. And I can't remember when or why I bought this, because I said I was going to wait for like a 50% off sale. but I think I got 20% off maybe. But this is the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. And quite frankly, I actually enjoyed this. Let's see, there we go. I enjoyed this way more than I thought I was going to. Because when I saw this first release and I saw all of these kind of yellow-green shades, I was like, absolutely not. Because those shades typically do not show up on my complexion. And there were like 4 of them. And in a 15-pan eyeshadow palette, having 4 shades that potentially were not going to show up on me was a little bit concerning. Additionally, the deepest shades are these 2. So you have a deep green and a deep brown. And the deep green was a cream to powder. I don't think the brown was a cream to powder. No, this is just a regular powder. But it's not the deepest brown. You know what I mean? So whenever I see a palette where I don't have a deepening up shade, also quite concerning for me. Now, I was really surprised by this when I actually put it on my eyes. I was able to get some depth from the brown. The green, not so much. It's a cream to powder, which means it looks significantly lighter on the eyes than in the pan. But the brown did give me some good depth. But the shimmers in here is what really, really stood out to me. They really just packed a punch, and I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. What I'm beginning to realize about these Natasha Denona mini palettes is that they are hella monochromatic. So at the end of the day, you can only get so much looks from her palettes because they are so monochromatic, which is a bit unfortunate because when it comes to 15-pan eyeshadow palettes, they shouldn't be that monochromatic. Like the I Need a Nude palette, I think I did 2, maybe 3 looks with it. They all kind of look the same. So I'm like, that could have been a 9-pan. This one, I feel like you get 3 distinct looks. Like you have something else a little bit more gold, a little bit more green, and then this one, which is kind of like the only outlier shimmer. So you do get a little bit of variety in this one, which made this rank a lot higher than the other Natasha Denona palette. And I really, really did enjoy this. So much so that I did a look, forgot what palette I used, and then saw it, and I was like, that's beautiful. I wish I remembered what palette I used. Finally did, and it was that one. So just saying, that's a solid one. But I still think you should wait for a sale when you get it. Okay, so we are actually in the top 3. 3 more palettes, you guys. Coming in at number 3, it's gonna surprise you guys. It's the Adept Cosmetics Cimmerian Sunset palette. This I bought immediately at launch because, I mean, come on. It's orange, it's warm, it's just absolutely stunning. I love a good warm eyeshadow palette. This has all of the shades that just call to me. But I did think that there were a couple of flaws with this palette. So let's go through them. Now the mattes, as beautiful as they are, they're actually not that deep. These are all pretty mid-tone. So you have 2 light mattes. So these are 2 light mattes. And then these 3 deep mattes are actually mid-tone, at least on my complexion. So there are no deepening shades in this palette. I had to go elsewhere for a deep enough shade for me to get a deep outer corner, which kind of sucked because I was hoping that this would be a complete palette and it wasn't. Then these 2 shimmers actually do look quite similar. And overall, these shades look very different in the pan, but I feel like when you swatch them out and when you put them on the eye, they all kind of different shades of orange, which, okay, I get it. It's the Cimmerian Sunset palette. It should be different shades of orange, but I don't know why I expected a little bit more variety than what it was. Now, the quality of these shimmers, absolutely amazing. Solid multi-chromes. For the price, I think the value is top-notch, so I definitely 100% would recommend it. But when I was thinking about that one and comparing it to the Inspired palette, which was the Green Arrow palette, I felt like I got more variety and more variation and more options with that one, and more ability to create different looks with that one than with this one. And I think with this palette, you have to be very careful about how you combine the reds and the greens because you can get muddy really, really easily, or even the oranges and the greens. You know, the orange, reds, and the greens together can turn into mud really quickly if you aren't careful about how you blend them. So just something to keep in mind. And I just felt like when I was using the palette, the more looks I did, the more I was like, oh, it's another orange look. That's slightly different than yesterday's orange look. So that was my only real complaint with it. Coming in at number 2, drum roll please, and this one stole the show. It's the Nomad Cosmetics Berlin palette. I know. please don't attack me in the comments. I know that this is a discontinued palette, but this was so good. And you're probably like, how are you now trying this discontinued palette? I found this at TJ Maxx randomly. It was like $16, unused, untouched. And this was created for Ipsy for some reason and somehow ended up at TJ Maxx. I don't even want to know how it got there, because it's probably something that I really don't want to know. But it ended up at TJ Maxx. I picked it up on a whim, really. And when you look at it, it's like not exciting. It actually looks a little bit boring, nondescript. It's just these almost satin looking shimmers with like 3 mattes in there. But on the eyes, chef's kiss. The first time I used this, I was like, oh my God. And then the second time I used it, I was like, absolutely yes. Because these shades, you know, they're neutral, they're just everyday friendly, they're beautiful, they're good one and done shades where you can literally put one on the lid, blend it out with a little bit of bronzer, and it's amazeballs. And I feel like they have decent shine and impact without being overpowering and doing too much. And I did not expect to love this as much as I did, but I really, really did. So much so that I always want to reach for this, and I'm like, you can't, you have other things to try. It's just everything, every look I've created with this has been so good. And effortlessly beautiful at that. Like, I pull together looks really quickly, and it just looks just flawless and simple and beautiful. I don't even know how to describe it, but I was in love. Okay, so I just ranted and raved about that one. So what comes in at number 1? What topped that baby? It has to go to the Nomad Cosmetics Ghost Town palette. This one was good, y'all. Now, I did receive this one in PR. I did not receive the Underground Berlin palette. Like I said, it's discontinued. I found it at Ipsy. I bought it on my own. This one was bomb.com. When I received this one, I was so excited to play in it because this color story, beautiful. I have my neutrals in there. I get a little bit of purple and color in there. Some purple, some blue to give me a little bit of spice, and then some greens. This was like the color story of my dreams. And I love the way that they took a little page out of Blend Bunny's book and gave the light to dark shimmers. So you can literally just go down the column. And it felt like each column was arranged in a way where you had one 6-pan, another 6-pan, another 6-pan. It was just, in my opinion, just beautifully put together. And I felt like every single look I created with this was perfection. I did a halo eye with this, and that was it. I was done. I was immediately sold. I was like, this is it. And I feel like this is such a good one coming off the heels of the Haunted Europe, which had a really great response. I felt like this second kind of, you know, Halloween release really did do this one justice, and it felt like these are 2 complementary palettes. It was, you know, different enough where it wasn't duplicative. Just such a solid release. I was so happy to see that. Okay, anyways, that is it, guys. That is my ranking of the last 12 eyeshadow palettes that I have tried. I'm still, you know, trying a lot more. I already have another basket going with a bunch of new palettes. But let me know, did anything surprise you? Did anything shock you? Do you want to know more about any of these palettes? If you want me to do any more videos with them, leave them down in the comments below as well. So don't forget to like the video on your way out if you haven't already done so. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you for sticking with me with this whole light situation. Doing my best. It is now officially dark outside, so I've officially run out of light. But thank you for sticking with me and watching today's video. As always, I appreciate you guys so much more than you know, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!